Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have another SteelDive here to review. Now, I have been reviewing a fair few SteelDives recently, and that's because I do have a working relationship with SteelDive and Heimdallr. By that, which I mean is I'll buy quite a bit of stock from SteelDive and from Heimdallr as well, which I sell on my eBay store and through YouTube or Facebook or whatever. However, they don't actually give me any watches for free to review. I think I need to have a chat with them about that, to be honest. I'll pay for all the watches, but I'll buy a few pieces at a time. So that being said, I do have another model. It's something different. I don't usually go for, so this was quite interesting for me. Before I go any further, please hit the subscribe button if you like what you see, you do enjoy the channel. Obviously it helps me create more videos, create more content for everyone. And the comments are always great. The engagement from the subs is always great. So thank you for that. So let's go ahead and get started. By now, you all should be familiar with the SteelDive style of packing. I mean, it does the job. It's very effective. You know, they've got their tags, warranty cards, and they do this awesome like capsule case. Great protection for the watch, especially when you are ordering from abroad. You shouldn't get anything damaged. So I took a bit of a chance on this one. It's out of my usual watches that I review. I look towards divers, I look towards Seiko homages mostly, but I have recently started to go looking at different watches and see what else is out there within the brands that we all know by now. So in front of me I have the SteelDive SD1948. For those enthusiasts out there, you'll be able to tell that this is a pilot's watch, and it's a homage or a copy of a very popular design, the Flieger pilot watch. This particular one comes with a bronze CUSN8 case. SteelDive do also a stainless steel version, which I think is called the 1940, if I'm not mistaken, which comes in the SteelDive trio of colors. This one only comes in this color option. It comes with a sterile dial option and with the logo. Specifications: you've got a double dome sapphire crystal, as mentioned, the bronze case, and you've got a NH35 movement with a 200 meter water resistance. Before we get into the specifics on the design of the watch, let's cover the dimensions. The case diameter is 39 millimeters. The lug to lug of the watch is 49 mil, and the thickness is 12.8. The lug width is 20 mil, and as mentioned is a double dome sapphire crystal, and you've got a pretty decent leather strap. Now, if we were to go into the details, let's get a closer look at this dial. Now, I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I did step out my comfort zone slightly with this watch. I don't usually go for watches like this, but now, because obviously the channel, I want to focus it more around just different kinds of watches. Initially I did start the channel just focusing on what my personal collection was, but obviously it's time to expand and diversify. So one of the first things which you notice as soon as you pull it out the box is the diameter is only 39 mil, so it's not too big. However, this dial and just the clarity on the dial, it gives it an impression that it's actually bigger than it is. And that's one of the first things I noticed. I was pleasantly surprised with this one. Just looking at it, you've got a great amount of visibility on the dial. It's not too busy. You've got clear Arabics numbers on the actual dial. You've got that SteelDive logo. Automatic 200 meters at the bottom. And usually you get, you know, your normal writing at the bottom which says Japan movement or whatever. They haven't bothered with that on the dial. And then you've got 4 yellow indices at the 12, 3, 6 and 9 position. Now on the 12 position there's a triangle. Now that's the Flieger part of the watch, because these were originally pilot watches. So what you should get on a Flieger or a pilot style watch, the top 12 o'clock indice should be a triangle, and you normally get 2 dots either side. And now that's some type of aid for the pilots, so they know what direction they're facing in, or something to that effect. So that is a nice touch. You've got a date window at 3 o'clock. And this watch also comes with a screw down crown. Now in usual SteelDive fashion, you've got a very crisp, very clear dial, and that's something which they consistently achieve. So that's always a positive from SteelDive. Moving on to the hands, you've got bronze hands, and they appear to be brushed. So I just get this camera to focus. The second hand is quite long. It stretches all the way to the minute track on the dial, and actually just slightly beyond it. Now I found with a lot of the comments and a few people on like Facebook and stuff, people do prefer the second hand to be quite longer, and for to touch the indices. Obviously it helps when you're setting time, if you want to maintain the accuracy on the watch. The hour hand is a rectangular design, whereas your minute hand is a sword style. Now they do a stainless steel version. I think it's called the SD1940, which does have the 2 dots on the 12 o'clock indice. Now that is still a pretty impressive watch. I think I featured it on my AliExpress sale items. I think they're around 70 to 80 pound mark. They have the 3 different colors, and they come with a bracelet as well. Now just on pictures that does look like a pretty decent watch as well. I thought I'd go for the bronze, something slightly different. The crown now has, which most of the SteelDive watches, they do come with a signed crown, which is the logo of the diver. And SteelDive still do offer no logo or sterile versions, because not everyone appreciates or just likes the logo of these watches. So a lot of the brands, they do offer a no logo version, which if you're buying a Seiko homage is a bonus if you're into modding as well, because you can put in aftermarket parts, and your watch case or your crown won't be branded necessarily. Now away from the dial, one of the nicest features that straight away you notice is this double dome sapphire. Now they could have opted for a flat crystal like they have on the stainless steel version, but they went for a double dome, and I think it's interesting they did that, because it's one of the probably the best features of the actual watch. So the side profile just gives it a more rounded look. It actually doesn't sit proud off the case. You have a slight bevel on there, but not enough to create that refraction effect that is sought after on, for example, the SteelDive 1970s. So, and I think that might help in, this domed glass might give you that 3D appearance. As mentioned, as soon as you look at it, you get that real clear visual of the dial. Moving on to the case finish, just touching, feeling. There are no sharp edges that I can feel, just the insides of the lugs, they are slightly sharp, but I have found that across Seikos too, the Seiko Sumo in particular, where the edge is sort of beveled on the insides, they're quite sharp. So this does have some sort of sharpness to it, but again, it's not too sharp, not too bad. The overall finish, the brushing, is pretty decent. Now with this being bronze, you will get some marking on there. It will get a patina over time. but that can be accelerated or it can be reset as and when, which is the beauty of this. So, you know, this watch does have individual character. Bonus of the screw-in crown, so you get 200 meters of water resistance with the NH35 movement, if you don't know already. So it gives you hand winding capabilities. One pull, you can change the date, and second pull, you can change the time. Moving on to the back of the case, of course, you have a stainless steel logo. Now, the logo, if you let's get it focusing. So the logo is slightly different. Now, this was picked up by, I think, one of the subscribers. Now, if you go onto the SteelDive page, you'll see their logo. They have 3 different types of, I don't know, divers or cases on their front page. Now, I'm only assuming that they wanted to work on 3 different ranges. This started in the, I think, on the SteelDive SD1971, the sumo homage, where they've got, I think it's a SteelDive, they've got Army Diver, Navy Diver, or something like that. So this is something different. You know, I am a fan of the logo. I know there are people that aren't, but I don't know what. Okay, I think it's, I don't know what that is meant to be, but it's a cool logo. And of course, you got your writing around the side of the screw down case back. The case is finished pretty well. Just under the case, the parts, the lugs that are going to sit on your wrist, there's no sharpness to them, so they've paid attention to that. And the last thing on this watch, it does come with a leather strap. I'm glad that the leather strap is not one of those cheap, thin, nasty leather straps. This is quite thick, as you can see in the video. So it does have a good feel to it. And it comes with a contrast white stitching. They also do a brown strap, but of course you can also put NATOs on there and paratrooper straps. Some people, especially on the stainless steel, they put the engineer style strap. I'm not a fan. I think the engineer straps belong on bigger watches like the tuners, possibly Marine Masters. This is not a big watch, so it needs something that's not so bulky. I think this looked great on a NATO as well. Now, across the industry, there are various companies that have done the Flieger style automatic watches. Seiko have. I think you've got Hamilton watches that do the aviator style watches. Now, I think this is a great addition as well. It conforms to the Flieger styling. I would say what does stand out, now I'm comparing this just to the picture that I've seen of the SD1940, the stainless steel version. The SS version actually has a arrow hand as well. I don't like this square hour hand, I must say. I would have preferred it if it was just a normal hand, like the one on the Minute. That would have looked possibly a bit better, but this is what they've gone with. And if we just focus in on the hands, see the quality on the hands. Now I want to touch on the Lume. The Lume in the actual pictures, first, when you look at the watch on the website, it shows that the numbers from 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, the ones in white, they've got a blue Lume, and obviously with the 1, 3, 6, and 9, and the Lume on the hour and minute hands is yellow. So on the pictures you can see that contrast quite well. However, putting this in my hand, you really can't see the blue as much. So let's find a darker spot to get the Lume to show through a bit better. Now I've had to find a dark spot so I can get the Lume to show. It isn't too bad, but the blue is significantly duller than the rest. and the yellow indices, they do have this really nice green. They do stand out quite well. I do like the two different colors of Lume. However, this is probably the weakest Lume I've seen on a SteelDive to date. Well, actually the SD1970, the upgraded version, does have slightly weaker Lume as well. So this blue, I feel it should be a bit brighter. However, the camera is showing quite well, and it is visible, but it's slightly dim. But the contrast with the 12, 3, 6 and 9 indices with the yellow green Lume does make them stand out quite a bit. I think the only thing left is to see what it looks like on the wrist. So there we have it. Now the fit on the wrist is quite well, and you can see, well, I don't know if you can tell on video, the watch does sit quite low profile. Obviously it's only 12.8, so it's not as thick as the dive watches that I'm used to, but it's quite light. I think it's around the 70 gram mark. The lug to lug is okay. It's at the limit. I always say 50 mil is the limit for a 6.5 inch wrist, which is what my wrist size is. The crown position is okay. It's not really digging in. That's because the watch is sitting quite further back. The leather bracelet is comfortable, and I'm glad they used a thicker leather bracelet. So pretty decent on the wrist. I must say I do like it. So to conclude, you have a pilot watch from SteelDive. The case, finish, construction is very good. Nothing standing out at all. The dial, it is a plain dial, true to what it is trying to homage. Very legible, great visibility on the dial. For me, I think the standout feature is this lovely domed sapphire. And if you do purchase this, you'll know what I'm saying, because straight away, as soon as you get it, that domed sapphire just makes the dial really stand out and really come to life. Positive, screw down crown, of course. The Lume, I'd say so-so with the Lume. You know, I like the yellow, green, 4 indices that you've got on the northeast, southwest. I suppose this could double up as a compass as well. That's probably the reason they've illuminated those indices. The blue background Lume could be quite a bit better. I just don't want SteelDive to start, bringing out watches with subpar Lume. Especially that's not what we're used to with SteelDive. I like the leather bracelet as well. The only thing which, it's not that I don't like it, I would prefer if the hour hand was different, and maybe it was just a pointy hand like they have on the minute hand. I do like how far the second hand stretches. I like the weight, I like the feel, the fit. So overall, pleasantly surprised. It's probably going to give me a bit more confidence to get watches that I'm not really, that I wouldn't really get for myself. Now, I've had one particular watch mentioned a couple of times. I can't remember the reference, but it's the Square homage. So I think my next, I'll be looking to purchase the Square homage and give that a review, because they've just updated that. The listing is upgraded version 2, so that'll be interesting to look at. I know I should make a few subs happy. So there we are. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.